Hello, welcome to Avio's Journey. It is Friday. Wonderful to be here, and I'm excited to talk to you today. We are going to have a frank conversation about business and the voiceover business, but business in general, because a lot of voice actors that I coach and I get a lot of questions on this about building a business and being a voice actor. And today's day and age, those two are not exclusive of themselves. Okay, they are together. We are building a business, all right, and our product, our service, right, is voiceover services. Okay, that's what we're selling. But first and foremost, we're building a business. And I've always thought that this is hard. Most of us are very artistic people, right? We're looking to be performers. I know as actors, we'll work on our craft forever, right? I mean, it's a lifelong pursuit. Okay, it's a lifelong pursuit of who we are, our surroundings, our opinions about society and about the world, and what's going on and what we believe in. This is a life pursuit of ours. So performance and acting and being an actor, it's an art, it's a craft, it's something that we will always work on, and it can be consuming, all consuming. Because of this, I think a lot of actors love the idea, and even to this day, of just being actors, just being voice actors, just performing, not focusing on the other parts of this, which is the business part. Okay, the part where we have, it's more of a logical, data-driven focus mindset, if you will. And, I always laughed at myself. I laugh at myself often. But I always thought that, and I've said this a lot, but I always think, there would be no use for producers, right, if voice actors were good at business. And I say actors, not voice actors, but it's the same thing, right? We are, and now in today's day and age, that's all changing, right? I mean, it has changed. Most of us, we are all running our own studios. This is another thing that I see it can be a challenge, right, for a lot of people to understand what we're actually building or what you're setting out to build. Okay. At the heart of all this, we want to do voiceover work, right? We want to have a good time. We want to get to perform, go into a booth, do some funny voices, have a blast, record some amazing stories, lend ourselves to the messaging of the world. Okay. And I love that. That is what's at the heart of, hopefully whatever you do is some passion for it. But there's also an important piece to this puzzle, and that is we have to make money. Right? Revenue has to come in to build a business. And the business that we're building, all right, is not voiceover artists, right? We're building a studio. Most of us are building a studio. And if you look at it that way, you got to think to yourself, right? Because what is it? You're building a studio. You're building a production studio where you are producing voiceovers. Most of us will only use our own voice. But some of us have already, needed, someone's come to us and say, hey, what's up? What's up, Anthony? I need X, Y, Z. I need this kind of voiceover. And you're like, well, I don't do that. But I know people who do. And you share their information with them. And they book the job. And you've now helped someone else get work through your studio. Okay, and the reason I say that is because you're we're building, we process our work, we record in our own space, right? We are billing people ourselves. We're building a studio. Interestingly enough, right? It's funny because on a random side note with tax purposes, it's interesting because there is a difference between an artist and a studio on the tax forms, right? And that's an interesting thing. But anyways, I'm not going to go into that. You need to talk to your tax advisors about that, especially as you grow and make more money, because they're taxed differently, right? Because one's considered a creator, where the other one is considered not necessarily a creator, like an artist. So it's a very interesting thing. However, for us, we're doing both. Do you know what I'm saying? And so because of that, I think it's important to put as much attention as you do into acting as you do into growing a business. I told this story a long time ago, but I'd say it again. One of the biggest moments in my voiceover business was when I don't know why, I can't remember exactly why I had done it, just because I probably was like, I need to do it. When I created my first balance sheet and profit and loss statement for my business, right, my voiceover business. And it was funny because when I created my balance sheet, right, what was on there, and if you know what a balance sheet is, right, it's your assets, liabilities, and your equity, and they need to equal, each other out. So but my balance sheet when I made it had a different effect on me. I looked at it and on my balance sheet was, of course, my assets were my computer, my microphone, and my equipment. And that's it. And the funny thing is that those assets, none of that stuff was being sold. Okay, because typically on an asset, in a balance sheet, you're not putting down, you as an individual, you as the leader of your business as an asset. However, because that's you're offering a service, right? That IP is really important, but defining that intellectual property from a business standpoint can be very difficult until you have built something that can be in the marketplace considered tangible, like a brand, a name, a website. Okay, because if you look at, like, for example, Mr. Beast, all right, he's built an entire business, or multiple businesses around his YouTube channel and being a big influencer from the sheer size and scope of his brand, right, across the entire world. But until that was built into something tangible, right, and you have to think too, would that ever have happened if there was not a YouTube? Okay, and people look at that and say, wow, look at what Mr. Beast has done, and it's amazing, right? But look at what YouTube has allowed to happen. All I'm trying to point out to you is when I did my balance sheet and I was looking at this, I really just had a hard reflection of what am I actually building from a business standpoint, right? To that I can build, that will grow, that's actually tangible. Now, one thing that is tangible, all right, and that is considered through the government and our country and the world, right, is licensing fees, intellectual property that you own, okay, and that you're also, from a revenue standpoint, you're able to make money from that, okay, royalties. These sorts of, that is part of that. And I think, so much of what we do today, a lot of us, we're trading, a lot of our service, we're just paid outright, and that's that's fine too. But from when I was looking at my business on the balance sheet, that was hard to define. Okay, because I had not necessarily built anything. And it's interesting because you would say from like, and again, this is not necessarily fully what a balance sheet is supposed to show you, but in my mind, this is what happened in the progression of what am I actually building, and what I realized is that if I went to sell my business tomorrow, would I be able, like, would anyone be interested in it? Would there actually be anything to sell? And then that got me thinking, was I actually building a business or was I building a job? And this goes into the kind of the point of this video today. And I know, you know me, I should have got there sooner. But the reality is that so many of us are building a job. We're building a job where we're trading our time for money. Okay? As opposed to building a business. And I would also argue, though, right, that any business that you create, you're going to also be an employee of. Okay? At least, for a little while. If not forever, until you decide to stop. Okay? But there's ownership in something if you own the business, right? And then you'll be an employee of that business, right, where you will trade your time for money, but you're also trading your time for building an asset. So all I'm throwing out there is to just, take a moment to think about, what am I building outside of me just fulfilling voiceover after voiceover? Is there something to a brand that I'm building? Am I at least taking the money I'm earning and investing it into something, investing it into something that's going to earn me more money, to where I'm building something that has value if I walked away. And I realize too that not everybody wants to do something like that, because a lot of us got into this just because we wanted to voice act, not because we wanted to build a business. But I'm just going to put it out there that they're not, again, this day and age, you have to do both. Okay? Now, is there wrong with building something? Is there anything wrong with building, a voiceover service where you are just, you're building a service and you can enjoy doing voiceovers and earn a nice amount of money and just do that? And when you're done, and you move on and there's nothing, to pass on? Of course. Absolutely, you can do that, and that's fine too. I mean, because it's what you want to create in the end. But just note though that if you want to build something that's tangible, okay, we've got to have, like, think of I don't know why this has stuck with me through the years, but it was this story because I was watching this interview with the conservator of Michael Jackson's estate when he passed away. And I remember he was talking about how Michael Jackson and a lot of artists didn't actually own, right, at the time, their masters. Okay? So basically meaning, like, they didn't own, like, just like us. If we, sell our voiceover work, our intellectual property, our voiceover work, and which a lot of us do, right? And people buy it outright in perpetuity. We no longer own that, the master, if you will. Okay, and a lot of artists, including in this particular case, Michael Jackson, didn't do it. And the gentleman, the man who in the interview, who's the conservator of the estate, was talking about how he had bought back at least all of Michael Jackson's masters, and he had just made a deal and he bought the Beatles, the masters to the Beatles, a lot of the Beatles catalog or something. And now whatever happens, they own that estate, at least at that time. I haven't followed it for the years, but they own, and of course Michael Jackson's children and stuff, they own those masters, meaning that anytime revenue is generated from them, they get money from it. And it's this, now we're not Michael Jackson, and some of our work is not that famous, clearly, but I think that if you look at it again from a standpoint, why buy those things, right? Like, why is that important, or why do we, when we're looking at our voiceover work or anything we're creating, why is it important? It's because we're trying to build something that lasts beyond us. If you are. Okay, and I think that that's just something to be clear about, so and so for me to go full circle, when I saw this, it really got me thinking about what all am I creating, what all am I doing. It really pushed my envelope on doing royalties, things that were going to generate revenue, right, that were tangible, not just something that I did a voiceover once and that was it was over. Those have its place, but it's just food for thought. The video today is not about, swaying you one way or another, or what you're creating and everything. It's just to think about, the directions you go, and that, when we're building what we're building, just be aware of it. So that way, when you go to make decisions, right, we're not under any illusions about the decisions we're making. Okay. And we know how we're trying to grow our voiceover business. Okay, because either way is fine and it works. It's really in the end up to you. It just pop into my mind because of course it does. This is kind of stuff I love to talk about and dive into in some of my classes with the VO's Journey Elite Academy. I like to have those philosophical moments or thinking about things, but anyways, I thought this video was a nice chat moment for Friday and talk about business and everything. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't clicked off and be like, that guy's boring, I hope this gave you just some food for thought. Leave some comments below, about how you're looking at your business now, and have you thought about that? Where is this leading? I mean, it's funny because as you grow as a voice actor and you get more work and you do more work, I've done thousands and thousands of voiceovers now. And, I love it. I could do voiceover forever, and I will. But it's interesting to me because as I grow as a voice actor, I start to think, what's, just like everything, once you accomplish something, right? I think if you understand that you're never going to be done, like we're never going to get to a place and be like, that's it, it's over, we're done wanting. And that's not being selfish. It's just the truth of humanity. Okay, so we if we're aware of that, then always think, there's always going to be that next goal, that next something that we want, and it's a fun journey to be on. So. Deep Friday Deep Thoughts by Anthony on Friday. And daggone it, people like me. Put down below if you know where that comes from. I don't know why that popped in my head. All right, I'll go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out a VO's Journey Elite Academy as always. I can't say it enough. We're having some really exciting stuff coming up. Even more so than we already have. But we're implementing a new assessment system that I think hopefully will, in my humble opinion, have a good chance to really help the voiceover industry, something that it doesn't currently have. So looking forward to talking to you guys some more. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. Take it easy. Oh, remember clocks go back this weekend. So turn your clocks back. Bye-bye, everybody.